You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Like a good pair of jeans, episode 501 of the Show Before the Show podcast. We have cracked the 500 episode barrier, and we're not slowing down. 501st episode is underway. The official podcast of minor league baseball. We're shorthanded for segment number one this week. Tyler Ron, Benjamin Hill, Sam Dykstra is off doing something. I don't know. What's up, Ben?
Hey, Tyler. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good,
Episode
man.
501. Yeah, let's button our
501.
flies. Yeah, I guess that's the cultural reference, but 501, button your fly. I remember that when I was a kid. Yeah, no Sam today, but that's okay. We can be shorthanded. I
Yeah,
mean, not everyone has freakishly large hands like Sam, so when he's not around, we're
everybody's a little
shorthanded.
shorthanded. Exactly.
Yeah,
We'll hear
so
from Sam a
that's how
little
it
bit
goes.
later, but yeah, we're able to go Sam free and somehow survive on these podcasts. We've had to learn how to do that over the years, and I'm proud of us for surviving without him.
Yeah, me too. Unfortunately, I haven't dug up any new dirt on him, but please know that that's an ongoing process, and
It's a
we'll be
constant thing.
back. We'll be back to share more about the secrets of Sam Dykstra soon enough.
Well, as you join us for episode 501, we are basking in the glory of episode 500 in our announced promotional night, the show before the show night in Somerset, at the home of the Somerset Patriots, which we are very excited about in June. I assume that people are already lining up. It's like the Beatles arriving in 1964 or whenever that was. I would think that people are probably camped out outside the ballpark now a couple months in advance, but we've gotten some really, I think, pretty cool, surprisingly excited reaction to this. I still don't know why anyone would want to come see us at a ballpark, but people seem to want to come see us at a ballpark.
No, people want to come see us at a ballpark. People are psyched for the show before the show night. June 11th, TD Bank Ballpark, home of the Somerset Patriots, right smack dab in the center of New Jersey. And yeah, there's the special ticketing link you can use. You can check out our social handles to get that, or the Somerset Patriots social handles. I'm Ben's Biz on Twitter and the Ben's Biz on Instagram. June 11th, Somerset, New Jersey, Somerset County, New Jersey, Bridgewater Township.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And we're going to have all kinds of fun details coming up about what the plan is going to be on June 11th, what we'll be doing, what you will be doing as people who might show up for the show before the show night at the home of the Somerset Patriots. We're all stoked for it, and it's coming up. Stay locked on MILB and on the Somerset Patriots social media channels and sites and all of that for more details as we get closer and closer. And let's kick it off on this week's episode of the show before the show. Ben, you are headed out on the road for kind of the first long distance road trip of 2025. You've done some close by stuff. You were in Reading 2 weeks ago, but you got to hop on a plane tomorrow for big time road
Yeah,
trip number one.
yeah, I was in Reading, Reading, Pennsylvania, home of the Fightin' Phils, on April 19th for a one-off, as it were, a very, very long one-off. I left my apartment around 7 in the morning and got back on midnight. So more to come from Reading, in addition to what you may or may not have already seen. But yes, the trips for real start. Well, we're talking on Wednesday. That's a little insider info for you. On Thursday, May 1st, which is the day before this episode comes out, uh, tomorrow in my world, but May 1st, Omaha Storm Chasers, Warner Park. I will be back there for the first time in something like a decade. It's take me out to the ball game night. Take me out, meow, take me out to the ball game like a cat. Bring your cats to the ballparks. So I remember writing a very enthusiastic blog post when the State College Spikes did the first cat related Bring Your Cat to the Game promo back in like 2010, 2011. And they've been part of the landscape since then, here and there, intermittently. And this is the first one I've ever attended. So looking forward to that. Then Friday, May 2nd, the day you may be listening to this, Des Moines, Iowa, Principal Park, home of the Iowa Cubs. May 3rd, Cedar Rapids, Colonels. May 4th, Peoria Chiefs. And that will kick things off for my traveling season. Ben's Biz on the road 2025. Here we go again. Season 15.
What is the most recent you've been to one of those parks?
I think got it all down on my promo spreadsheet, but I think it's basically more or less like a decade across the board when I did a similar trip a decade ago. That is, I've mentioned that on this podcast and other places, but that's what's been happening in my career lately is just like it doesn't seem that long, but I just look at the calendar and try to put an itinerary together and I'm like, oh, I'll go here. It's been 8 years, it's been a decade, it's been 12 years or whatever the case. So yeah, it's coming back for first time in about a decade. The first time I went to Omaha was in 2010, the first year I did any sort of like official road trips for this job. And my first time in Omaha was the last game ever at Rosenblatt Stadium
Rosenblatt.
in 2010. I went to cover the last game ever. So my experience at historic Rosenblatt Stadium, which is now the Omaha Zoo. I think there's a little portion of the ballpark preserved, but it's largely a zoo. That was a beloved ballpark. And it also hosted the College World Series. And so that ballpark was huge. It had like
Yeah,
30,000
30,000
capacity or
seats, I
something like
think.
that. Yeah, so it was a little tough operationally for Omaha, who were then named the Royals. Of course, they're still a Royals affiliate now that the Storm Chasers. But it's tough operationally when you have such a gigantic stadium. So even if you draw like a good crowd, let's say 7,500 people on a Tuesday night, your ballpark kind of looks empty. So they dealt with it the way you see these things dealt with. They had whole portions of, seating just with like big billboards, so to
Yeah,
speak,
giant
big
tarps.
tarps, huge canvas covering the seats and bringing in a little extra advertising revenue. But yeah, anyway, before I go start rambling, that was the first time I went to Omaha, and then I went to Warner Park, which opened in 2011. I got there for the first time in 2015, and here we are in the year 2025, still doing it.
I wonder, and it'll be interesting to hear next week when you get back, which of these ballparks and which of these areas has changed the most. Omaha, I mean, that when they built Warner Park, it was way outside of not metropolitan Omaha, but like downtown Omaha, which it's still obviously the location is the same, but Omaha's expanded that direction out toward Papillion and La Vista and those suburban areas. Iowa, Principal Park in Des Moines has changed over the years. Your couple other stops in Iowa, Cedar Rapids and Peoria, great minor league towns. It'll be really cool to see, versus how you remember them, what things are like there now. And then after these, obviously you've got a full slate of summer trips. What's the next one coming up after these?
Yeah, let's go through it real quick because I realized we have not talked about my itineraries on the podcast. I'll be traveling throughout the season. And yeah, as I mentioned, just about to hit Omaha, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, and Peoria. And then at the end of the month, a mostly South Carolina road trip. May 27th, the Greenville Drive. May 28th, the Columbia Fireflies. The last time I was there was in 2017 on the National Eclipse when they hosted a game with a built-in eclipse delay. So I hope I have a great night with the Fireflies on May 28th, but it probably won't be as memorable as a witnessing an eclipse in a sold-out ballpark. Then a detour into North Carolina, and this was a later addition to the schedule once I realized I could do it. Thursday, May 29th, Five County Stadium, Zebulon. I think that's how you say it. I always say Zebulon. North Carolina, the Carolina Mudcats now playing their final season. I wanted to check them out and visit Five County Ballpark one more time. Then the team is going to move not very far away, something like 20 miles or so to Wilson, North Carolina, longtime home of a summer collegiate team named the Tobs, but they are getting affiliated minor league baseball in a new ballpark. and they will host the Wilson Warbirds starting in 2026. But so good chance I get there next year to see Wilson. But for this year, final game at or for my final appearance in the final season at Five County Stadium. May 30th, Myrtle Beach Pelicans. May 31st, Charleston River Dogs. It's toilet paper night. And so they will quote unquote mummify the ballpark afterwards with toilet paper. June
They're going to
11th, we already
TP
talked
their
about
own
it.
ballpark?
Yeah, yeah.
Man, that's
Um,
there's a lot of cleanup work. Man, I hope it doesn't rain.
oh, I know. Well, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Although
But
I
I
guess it
was
could be very absorbent toilet paper. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad.
that promotion, the River Dogs have done that kind of thing. I remember they had like a color night with those like colored powders one year where they were just like tossing that around the ballpark and everyone's like soaked in different colors. They've done, I think, some silly string stuff. They must have a very understanding and or very put upon operations director. I'm not sure who it is now. It used to be a guy named Phil Geary who was an active participant in planning those promotions. But I think TP night first came about like in a COVID era or just post-COVID promotion of like, hey, remember when there was a toilet paper shortage? Like, no longer. We're going to waste a lot of toilet paper. And now they
That
brought
does
it
sound
back a few
familiar.
times. Yeah. But that's where I'll close that road trip with the Charleston River Dogs. And yeah, last time I was there, I interviewed Bill Murray and got endorsed by Bill Murray. And
We
probably not
have that
gonna.
audio, by the way.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it into the podcast right now.
Whenever I tune into Twitter, I tune into Ben Hill's Twitter account. I don't really tune into Twitter, but if I had Twitter, I would tune into Ben Hill's Twitter account. I really would.
That was Ben with Bill Murray. That was Bill Murray with Ben, I guess I should say.
Yeah, that was a memorable moment. He just, Bill Murray is a co-owner of the River Dogs, and I believe he has a house in Charleston. You cannot plan for anything with Bill Murray. I couldn't like say to the team like, "Hey, can you set up an interview with Bill Murray?" But he was at the ballpark. I believe he was filming a project that was pretty low key, but him and his brother Brian Doyle Murray did a like kind of internet only like little ballpark tour internet series where they went to like five or six different minor league ballparks, and they were in Charleston, I think, doing an episode of that. And Danny McBride was there too, so they were in a suite. It was like Bill Murray, Brian Doyle Murray, Danny McBride, and
They had a
after
dream
the
like that once.
yeah, I mean, just crazy. And then after the game, I was wandering around, and yeah, Phil Geary, guy I mentioned before, just like we ran into Bill Murray. He's like, "Hey, you should talk to him." And I'm like, "Well, I don't. I just, even though I'm a writer and it'd be good content, I didn't want to just be like, 'Hi, Bill, I write for.'" And Phil's like, "I'll introduce you." And he was like, "Oh yeah, cool, let's talk." He said, "Keep that scam going," I believe is what he said when I told him what I did. And then as the game ended and they set up some sort of like helicopter drop launchable, um, I interviewed Bill Murray at a picnic table on the concourse. And of course, other people were coming up and interrupting. And I wasn't trying to get territorial, but I was like, come on, let me get something here. And yeah, got his thoughts on the eclipse because that was the night before the eclipse. I went on to Columbia to see it, but and then that kind of went viral once I got that online. It was on SportsCenter and they attributed it to Ben's Bix
Ah,
instead of
that's
Ben's
good.
Biz.
The
But hey,
ESPN standard.
yeah, that's my career in a nutshell. Ben's Bix. Um, anyway, yeah, I'm going back to Charleston. This is what happens when we start riffing about road trips. There's so many alternate routes to go down, as it were. Then at the end of June, I found one 6 game homestand in which three teams that are playing in new ballparks were all home at the same time. So I'm spending 2 nights at three new minor league ballparks. June 24th, 25th, Covenant Health Park, home of the Knoxville Smokies, who moved from nearby Kodak back to Knoxville proper. And so looking forward to that. June 26th, 27th, the Hub City Spartanburgers um, at Fifth Third Park. That team used to be the Down East Wood Ducks, and they relocated. They're part of the Rangers system. Hub City Spartanburgers in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And then June 28th and 29th, the Columbus Clingstones, the relocated Mississippi Braves. Synovus Park, which is essentially, we can have this debate. It's a new ballpark, but it's in the same location as Columbus's previous minor league park, which was built in 1926, and it retains some elements of that park. So you could maybe say that this is like a massively renovated, super old ballpark that is 99 years old. But we're calling it a new ballpark because I think the renovations, so to speak, were so extensive as to have it be more of a new ballpark built on the same site as opposed to taking an existing facility and renovating it. But we'll see. But it's cool to have that history, some of that history incorporated in there. And Columbus, Georgia has a long minor league history. The Mississippi Braves, as I mentioned, relocated to Columbus, but you can still check out professional baseball in the Frontier League by seeing our good friends, the Mississippi Mud Monsters in Pearl,
Yeah,
Mississippi at
go
Trustmark
Monsters.
Park. Yep. See, they send us a hat, and we'll just keep shouting them out. But
Absolutely.
we're easily bought. But no, I like the people down there, and I hope to get into a game there at some point. And that's our hope always, is that when a minor league team relocates, that baseball lives on, and in most cases it does. So we do not want to forget about that or act like a place is dead to us just because it's no longer affiliated. Baseball perseveres. Anyway, July 26th, 27th, another new ballpark. The ballpark at America First Square in Salt Lake City. Technically, I think it's not in Salt Lake City. I think it's South Jordan or something like that in that
Yeah,
planned community, kind of like Vegas's ballpark is in
right.
like this
Summerlin.
yeah, Summerlin, a planned community that was built on land originally purchased by Howard Hughes for that purpose. So I think this is Salt Lake's version of that, but it's still Salt Lake City area, even if it's not technically in Salt Lake city limits. The old ballpark, Smith's ballpark, was in city limits. Looks like still got some good mountain views though at this new place, and that was a fantastic element of Smith's ballpark, the Wasatch Mountain Range.
Yeah, Wasatch.
Wasatch. And then after 2 nights in Salt Lake City, I'm going to take a big travel day and head to Washington State and see the Tri-City Dust Devils in Pasco, Washington on July 29th and the Spokane Indians on July 30th at Avista Stadium. August 6th, a one-off hitting Altoona, Pennsylvania, home of the Curve. Former voice of the Curve,
Hey, make your way to Curb. Do they still use that song? You got to find out. They still use
yeah,
that.
I will definitely find that
Okay.
out. They
You're a
definitely still
worm.
use the song they always have to use until all
Baseball.
time.
Baseball. That's the one that they like paid there's like a music group from Japan, I believe, that created that song.
I don't know. It sounds more Eastern European. Double
Oh
A
yeah, maybe that
Eastern
double.
League Baseball. Yeah. We know you'll agree.
Oh
Ask our
man.
fans.
Oh, I just got I was back in the booth with our good friend Mike Passanisi momentarily there for a second. So Altoona, you will visit People's Natural Gas Field, PNG
Yeah,
Field, I think they call it
yeah,
now.
and I'm going just for one day, a Wednesday in August, because it's awful night. And I believe, as I've mentioned on this podcast and elsewhere, the first time I ever visited a ballpark in a professional context was 2007, pretty early in my part-time days to cover the Altoona Curve's awful night. And they have not, by any stretch, staged awful night every year since then, but they brought it back in recent years. And the goal is to make everything as quote unquote awful at the ballpark. And I was like, I haven't been in Altoona for a while, and I think it would mean something to me and hopefully other people to see some awful night coverage. And to me, it's getting back to my roots, like literally my roots, the first place I ever went to cover a game. Then we'll close things out with a couple nights in Ohio. August 22nd, the Lake County Captains, and August 23rd, the Akron Rubber Ducks. And that's the season on the road. And I'm talking here to you today from my bedroom slash office. Um, one bedroom apartment in New York City. You got to accomplish a lot in a small amount of space. But I'll be getting up super early tomorrow to head to Omaha and start this road trip traveling season. Here we go again. I always feel better once I'm on the road. Right beforehand, I feel so antsy and nervous and, like everything's gonna collapse. And
No
it'll be
way, man.
okay.
You're the
It'll be
seasoned
okay,
vet.
right?
Yeah. You'll
Yeah.
you'll you'll be there eating runzas in no time. Having a designated eater crush runzas in no time.
Yeah. That's
Um, All right, man. We've got some alternate identities out. One that is sort of related to a thing that we did and then forgot to follow through on the show before the show podcast. We created an alternate identity, or not an alternate identity. We created a an entirely new team called the Huntington Hellbenders in Huntington, West Virginia, and they were named after the Eastern Salamander. Is that right? The Eastern some sort of salamander. But the Asheville Tourists have
The Hellbender
the
salamander.
Hellbender salamander. That's right. The Asheville Tourists have come out with an alternate identity that pays tribute to the same amphibian, and theirs is a lot more inventively named.
Yeah. One night only. The Asheville Snot Otters. It's kind of hard to
Is this
combine
the
those two
first
words.
time that the word snot has appeared on a minor league baseball uniform? The word.
I'm gonna guess that it is. Um, one game only. What is it? June 6th, I want to say. Yeah, June 6th. One game only. A snot otter. That is a nickname for the Eastern Hellbender salamander, a giant salamander species. And yeah, got to give them credit. I think Hellbender sounds cool on its own. Yes, we designed a whole alternate identity that we never got visuals for, or not yeah, like you said, real identity. So I think Hellbenders is a great name in and of itself, but this is a nickname for a Hellbender. The
I
Snot
think this
Otters.
also provides a very good opportunity for us to go back and finally have our visual brand put together for the Huntington Hellbenders, because now we can compare what we've got versus what Asheville's got. I think that sounds like a great idea. Ours doesn't have snot in the name, so I don't know how much ours is going to compare, but it's
It
that's
has
all.
hell in the name. Like, you
That's a
can
good
have a
point.
pretty good look based on eternal damnation.
That's a good point. These are I also just love that Asheville's the logo is great for the Hellbenders alternate identity, the snot otters, but the word mark is just like it's like something out of Rocco's Modern Life or Ren and Stimpy or something from back when we were kids, where it's just like booger covered neon green lettering, and I like that.
It is very 80s and 90s, maybe today's kids as well, I should know, with a 4-year-old at home. But yeah, it's snot otters, and it looks like a whole bunch of snot. I think my cultural reference would be like Garbage Pail Kids. I was real into Garbage Pail Kids
Yeah,
as a
yeah, yeah, yeah. I could buy that. So that's what's going on in Asheville. Elsewhere, we got some more stuff as well. Other teams that are rolling out alt identities, and a team that is rolling out a merchandise piece based on a play that kind of blew away the baseball world last week.
Yeah, this was in Chattanooga, and I should bring up this play to get the specifics in terms of who the Chattanooga Lookouts were playing and who hit this ball. But you might have seen this clip, and if not, you can look it up on MILB.com, Instagram, or Twitter, or Google like minor league game. Well, bat hits ball. I mean, that's what happens all the time. Anyway, there was a slow roller hit in this Double-A Southern League baseball game to the shortstop. The bat was broken on the hit, and the bat flew into the field. And just before the shortstop was ready to field the ball, the bat got in the way, and the ball hit the bat in the infield. And so it resulted in a crazy base hit where the shortstop was prevented from fielding the ball because the broken bat fragment got in the way of the ball itself. So this ball was hit by the batter in a normal circumstance, and then it hit the bat again on the field, or a bat fragment. Larry Ward, longtime voice of the Chattanooga Lookouts, going back to 1989, the longest tenured broadcaster in Double-A, and probably in the top three, I'd want to say, in all of minor league baseball. He was on the call, and in expressing an incredulous tone of this really bizarre baseball play, he said, "Holy cats. Holy cats."
Delivers on a broken bat, ground ball. The bat went right by Benoit. Now the ball hits the bat that's on the ground, and the runner escapes to third. I have never, ever seen that in my 45 years of calling baseball. Holy cats. A base hit and an RBI off of a broken bat.
So that's from the wilds of Chattanooga, which I talked with Larry once, and I said Chattanooga, and he said, if you come here, I learned very early after coming here that people will correct you and say it's not Chattanooga, it's Chattanooga. You have to say that second A, Chattanooga. Ever since then, I've been very. It's like you can't say Louisville for Kentucky. You have to say Louisville.
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 Well, just to wrap up the Holy Cats thing, you can now buy a shirt from the Lookouts that says
Holy Cats.
Holy Cats, and a tribute to Larry Ward, their longtime broadcaster. And I wrote a story on Larry Ward in 2021. Chattanooga was the first ballpark I visited after COVID, and so it felt great to be back on the road. And I remember talking to Larry early in that visit and being like, "Yeah, here we go." Talking to some icons of the scene, and yeah, baseball's back, baby. Holy Cats. Get that
Holy
t-shirt.
Cats. Well, you can keep up with all things Benjamin Hill, of course. You can follow Ben on Twitter at Ben's Biz, on Instagram at The Ben's Biz. All the good road trip stuff is coming starting this week on Thursday. Ben will be on the road, Omaha, Iowa, Cedar Rapids, and Peoria. And enjoy it, man. Have a blast.
Hey, that's the plan. And hey, this segment has been sponsored by Circle K.
The official convenience store of minor league baseball, which brings you
And-
our weekly conversation with Benjamin Hill. Benjamin's Biz, I almost said.
Benjamin's Biz, yeah.
Ben's
Gonna be hitting up
Bix.
gonna be hitting Ben's Bix, gonna be hitting some Circle K's on the road this season, for sure.
What's your go-to road trip snack? Like if you're driving between, I don't know what the longest drive of these would be. Omaha to Des Moines, only like a couple hours, an hour and a half maybe. What's like the go-to Ben's Biz road trip snack from a Circle K, the official convenience store of minor league baseball?
Well, if it's just a snack, and this is something I've cut down on in recent years because the nutritional information, when I dare to look at it, is pretty grim. But I love pork rinds and pork cracklings. Oh man, those can get obsessive. But usually like a bag of chips. I look for regional brands of potato chips.
Yeah.
Andy Cap's hot fries, the TGI Friday branded
Yeah.
potato chips,
Potato
like
skins, right?
skins,
Yeah.
potato skin type potato chips, like the sour cream and onion or cheddar bacon. So that's a snack. If I'm looking for something more substantial, it's always good to have a bag of beef jerky in the car next to me.
It's always
And
helpful.
being gluten free on the road can be a challenge. So sometimes at convenience stores at Circle K, I'm looking for some hard boiled eggs, pickles, meat and cheese, just whatever like kind of proteins I can get as well. So it really depends on the situation, and trying to mix some fruit into the mix. I do not. It's tough to have a good diet a healthy diet on the road.
That is true.
Trying my best.
Yeah, I very much get that. The nutritional information is grim is pretty much something that you could apply to virtually everything I eat when I'm away from home. But again, Benjamin Hill, you can find at Ben's Biz and The Ben's Biz. And enjoy the trip, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. My triumphant return, and I'm flexing as I'm saying this. I don't know why, but
We can try to cut in a video clip into this audio
Yeah.
podcast as well.
those guns.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Tyler.
Reggie, I just sold my car online.
Let's go, Grandpa. Wait, you did?
Yep, on Carvana. Just put in the license plate, answered a few questions, got an offer in minutes. Easier than setting up that new digital picture frame.
You don't say.
Yeah, they're even picking it up tomorrow. Talk about fast.
Wow, way to go. So, about that picture frame.
Forget about it. Until Carvana makes one, I'm not interested.
Car selling made easy on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
Well, delighted on segment number 2 of episode 501 of the Show Before the Show podcast to welcome in your fan favorite and mine, Samuel Dykstra. Hi, Sam. What's going on?
Hi, Tyler. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How about you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I was sorry to miss out on yesterday's recording, but Ben and I are currently ships passing in the night between our various trips, and
Right, right.
I have confirmed we are recording this after you guys did this on Wednesday.
Yes.
He is in Omaha,
Okay.
or at the
Okay,
very
good.
least, he was hovering above Omaha. He posted
Okay.
a picture from the plane saying "Hello, Omaha." He hasn't posted
Kepley
one from the ground
Airfield,
yet.
by the way, is the name. Ooh, so we don't know. Maybe
We don't know.
there could have been like an alien thing and Ben's
He could
gone.
just be circling,
Yeah,
just like
that's true. Could just be
reporting on the storm
forever,
chasers from the skies.
forever waiting. Well, you are one of those ships passing in the night because you too were on the road at a minor league ballpark yesterday, which is the day that Ben and I recorded. We are now talking on Thursday. This is all time travel. And you got a chance to go see the Aberdeen Ironbirds in at their home of ballpark that you and I talked about. Everybody seems to say, I've driven past that place, but I've never been there. Because it's right off I-95. I know I had driven past that ballpark many times on minor league road trips in the Carolina League. I believe while going to Woodbridge, Virginia to see the Potomac Nationals or maybe the Frederick Keys. I don't know. But you got a chance to go to Aberdeen yesterday, which when you said Aberdeen, you've been to Scotland several times. For a moment, I was like, wait, does Sam have another international trip? Is he just going back to Scotland, just going to drink some whiskey? But no, you were in Aberdeen on the baseball map.
Yes, on the baseball map. I know. I do catch myself too. I was just like, oh man, wouldn't this be nice? Just to be putting it on the books for work.
Speaking
to
of
go to
Aberdeen,
Scotland.
Right.
But no, I was in Aberdeen, Maryland yesterday. I got to be a guest in the booth alongside Michael Mark Antonini, the voice of the Ironbirds and a former guest of this show.
Yeah, former guest on the show.
Offseason. Yeah. He and I had connected in the Arizona Fall League where he was doing some broadcasting and doing a lot of media relations work. And it's funny, we were talking about, he was asking me like, what was your favorite interview last year? And I was like, oh, it was this. And he's like, I was standing right beside you when that happened. And I agree, that was good. So it's just funny to me, baseball is obviously a big world and a big universe. And you meet somebody in Arizona and then you see them again on a completely different coast. And it's like you just saw them the other day. That's the great thing about this is that it is such a wide sport and wide places that it can take you to. But it was a good visit. Good to see Aberdeen and Bowling Green. Bowling Green ended up winning that one 2-1. It was a pretty decent pitcher's duel. Gary Gale-Hill started for the Bowling Green Hot Rods. Looked pretty solid. Got a lot of ground balls early, then transitioned to strikeouts late. He's one of the top Rays pitching prospects. Got to see Vance Honeycutt, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, make a really strong throw from center field to keep the game tied at one point. I think it was to keep the game tied, but it was to keep the game tied. He
don't even know.
Sac fly. It was a sac fly to center field. Runner was coming from third, made a strong throw, bounced right in front of the mound, right to the catcher, easy tag. Vance Honeycutt, first round pick of the Orioles last year. Everybody really likes his athleticism, thinks he can be a really strong center fielder. I believe he was the 2-time ACC All Defensive Player of the Year. So the fact that he got to show that off, you never know what you're going to see in a one-game look.
Yeah.
But to see it come off that well was really good and gave me something to take away from seeing him. So good time down in Aberdeen, even if it was just a brief trip.
Well, we will return to Aberdeen here in just a little bit, but we got some other baseball stuff to talk about. And before we dive into any on-field stuff, we owe a special moment of recognition to somebody who was near the field, but in the broadcast booth. And that is longtime friend of the show before the show podcast, Tim Grubbs, the broadcaster for the Wichita Wind Surge, the former broadcaster. Well, he was the broadcaster for the team that became the Wichita Wind Surge, so I guess not really the former broadcaster, but with the New Orleans Baby Cakes for so long. Tim Grubbs, we received this note from a Wind Surge fan and season ticket holder named Ken Mary. Tim Grubbs did his 4,000th broadcast on Friday, April 25th What an incredible accomplishment. A huge congratulations to Tim, a guy we've had on the show. We've had calls of Tim's on the show. I mean, a pro's pro type of broadcaster, a guy who's so much fun to listen to. Man, that is 4,000 games. That is incredible. And the longevity, the relationships that you get to build with these communities, whether it was in New Orleans, now in Wichita, inaugurating a new ballpark, getting to be the voice of a team that hasn't had affiliated baseball in a long time, or a city that hasn't had affiliated baseball in a long time, Wichita, before the return of the affiliated minor league ranks. They, of course, had the Wranglers back in the day. Went a long time without a team. Then they get the win surge and they get a front row top rate broadcaster and somebody like Tim. 4,000 broadcasts. Big congratulations, man.
Yeah, no, that's incredible to think about. You think about how many games there are in a year, and then divide 4,000 by that, and that's a long time. And as you mentioned, Tyler, and I just want to highlight this as well, is going from New Orleans to Wichita can't be easy. It's a whole new market that doesn't know you, doesn't know
Not to
your voice.
mention, originally was supposed to be a AAA team.
Yeah.
That team was originally supposed to be in AAA. They were just going to move from New Orleans to Wichita. And then with all the restructuring and everything with minor league baseball, they shifted down a level to AA. And yeah, so there were so many different changes there.
Right. There's a lot to go through. There's new teams to know. There's new ballparks to know. There's a new level of play, right? Like AAA, you're calling AAA. There's guys coming down from the majors, going back up to the majors, trying to make their major league debuts. You get a wide swath. You'll get some 32-year-olds. You'll get some 23-year-olds. It's all over the place. AA is much more focused on, I would say, prospects. You'll get the occasional guy who's been in the major leagues before,
right.
But it's just a different brand of baseball. So calling that is new, but also just getting a whole new group of people to know you and your voice and accept you as the voice of their baseball team is not an easy transition by any means. And to see him embraced like this, and for somebody to reach out on his behalf to make sure we mentioned him is fantastic. And
that was super
obviously
cool.
Tim would be worthy of this, whether we got an email or not.
Right.
I mean, we're not just doing this because of that, but we welcome that. If there's anybody you want shouted out on the show, anybody in the minor league community who's had a milestone,
it can't just be like, hey, here's a guy who I had a ham sandwich with once, and it's not baseball related at all. It's got to be minor league baseball related.
It's got to be minor league related in some way, yeah. But we welcome it. I mean, as always, email us at podcast@mlb.com, and we'll mention it on the air.
That really was so cool. So a huge thanks to Ken Mary for pointing that out to us. But again, just massive congratulations to Tim Grubbs, one of the real good guys in all of baseball, and somebody who I have not gotten to meet in person yet. But to have listened and watched broadcasts for a long time, and to know Tim's voice, and just what a great broadcaster he is. It's just really cool to see when really good things happen to really good people and really good broadcasters. And a big congrats to Tim Grubbs. Game number 4,000 for his Wichita win surge, which was a Friday night matchup, as we noted. And for Wichita in that game, they were playing on I don't even remember the name of the ball. What's the name of the ballpark in Wichita? Why can I not remember the name of the ballpark in Wichita? It's Equity Bank Park. That's right. But they were playing at home and got the win 2-1 over Springfield, which was a game against another friend of the podcast, Jason Schwartz, who is now the radio voice of the Springfield Cardinals. So just a cool collision of like all things that we love about minor league baseball. And it was a good week, by the way, for Wichita in that matchup with Springfield. They won 4 out of the 6 games in that series. So big congrats to Tim. They got the win on the night of game number 4,000 at Equity Bank Park. And okay. Now we'll go to some on-field stuff. We have the first full month of the minor league baseball season in the books, and Sam Dykstra is going to take us through some of the hottest starts across prospectum. We have already seen, some guys breaking out, some promotions, all that. Sam, who were your biggest headliners in month number 1?
Yeah, a couple guys just to shout out, 2 from the AAA level. We're going to focus on hitters here. Is Jordan Lawler, who's just been an extra base machine, it feels like, for AAA Reno, number 10 overall prospect in MLB Pipeline's top 100, batting .381 with a .470 on base, .690 slugging percentage, an OPS of 1.160. He's got 6 homers, 2 triples, and 13 doubles over 133 plate appearances. He also added 12 steals in there. We know he can be a plus runner, so that's not a huge shock. Obviously, Jordan Lawler's playing with AAA Reno. Reno is a launching pad. The Pacific Coast League, on the whole, is a launching pad. So take all of this with the grain of salt that it requires. I still think he's going to be playing closer to like 50, 55 power than the 60 power that a 690 slugging percentage would indicate. But he was somebody who's going to be under a microscope this year, right? He missed a lot of time last year, was supposed to get back to the major leagues, had some injury problems. There were reasons why that didn't happen. And then in the spring, the D-backs signed shortstop Geraldo Perdomo to an extension. Jordan Lawler at one point was going to be their shortstop of the future. That's no longer the case. So they've moved him around, got him some time at third base, got him some time at second base. He's been mostly focused at second base, actually, so far for Reno. So that's something to keep an eye on. But he's hitting like somebody who's going to knock down the door one way or another. And we know Arizona, quality ball club, obviously signing Corbin Burns in the offseason. They're hoping to be right there with the Dodgers, with the Padres, with the Giants, even in the NL West.
Those are the only 4 teams in that division.
You might be sitting at home wondering why we didn't say a fifth team. Well, we're just not going to do that right now. But the D-backs are going to need all the help they can get. And if they have a quality prospect, a top 10 overall prospect in the game who is knocking down the door, they can find space for him. I'm fascinated to see what that's going to be, because you got like Eugenio Suarez hitting 4 home runs in a game, and you got Ketel Marte, who's a really good second baseman. Like, we'll see how this is going to shake out. But Jordan Lawler absolutely knocking on the door right now. Another guy at AAA in the Cubs system, our number 65 overall prospect. All these numbers are entering Thursday, by the way, so they might be different by the time you hear this podcast, but entering Thursday, Moises Ballesteros, 402 average through 109 plate appearances, 4 homers, 1 triple, 7 doubles for him, 12 strikeouts versus 10 walks, so he's putting the ball in play a lot. He's also slugging above 600 at 619 and 1078 OPS. Moises Ballesteros, we thought coming into the year could be like a plus hitter. Like, it is no surprise that he's hitting very well at AAA. I don't think anybody would have predicted above 400 after the first month of the season. Like, that's Aaron Judge territory now. It's crazy to think that Aaron Judge is hitting what he is. But the big question is defensively, right? Like, where is Ballesteros going to end up? Because he's not a great defensive catcher. He still has a lot of room to grow there. He might be like a double-A catcher right now and a major league hitter, which is why he's at AAA. And you look at where the Cubs are. Carson Kelly's been having a terrific first month behind the dish and at the dish offensively, so they don't need a catcher either. So Ballesteros could continue to perform for a while before he gets that call, but he's somebody who's making that push absolutely as well. Would not be surprised if he debuts at some point in May. And then dipping below that, since those are 2 AAA guys, I want to mention Leo DeVries of the San Diego Padres system, their top prospect, our number 17 overall prospect, just 18 years old at High A Fort Wayne. We know the Padres love to push their prospects aggressively. They did that with DeVries last year, skipping him over not only the Dominican Summer League, but also the Arizona Complex League, sending him to Single A. Lake Elsinore, spent pretty much his entire summer there, and then got some time in the Arizona Fall League, in part just to keep him close to their complex in Peoria. But they pushed him again this year. So this is just his age 18 season. He's at High A. You don't hear about guys doing that very often. And Tyler, right now, he's another guy with a 600 slugging percentage, 625. I mean, we didn't talk about this last week.
Pretty good.
Because we had so much going on with our 500th episode. But Leo DeVries last Tuesday, not this most recent Tuesday, but the Tuesday before that, had a cycle in which he had 2 home runs. Like, that's pretty good. Pretty good. That would be pretty good for anybody on our top 100 list. The fact that he is so young and already slugging the ball like he is rather incredible. He's up to 4 homers now through 83 plate appearances. He also has 3 triples, 5 doubles, a pair of steals, batting 306 on the whole. So a lot of this slug isn't just coming from like a high average. It's from those extra base hits. I know they're very excited about him and his potential at shortstop. And if he's doing this as a switch hitter already, I mean, the ceiling's immense for Leo DeVries. I can't remember if I've said it on this podcast before, but I'll stake this claim now. I think he's going to end the year as a top 2 prospect in baseball. And the way this is looking right now, he very well could be number one by the time we do our midseason update. We'll see how this goes. We've already seen like Ethan Salas last year, right? Like struggle at high A because of the aggressive assignment. This is just 1 month. He has to carry it for longer. But Salas never put together a month like this. And DeVries plays a premium position at shortstop, as does Salas at catcher. But the arrow continues to be pointing up for DeVries. And it's really exciting for the Padres to have another potential superstar.
All right, Sam, as crazy as it is for us all ready to be at this time of the season, complex leagues are nearly underway, and we're at a different stage in this era in minor league baseball. The complex leagues are something a little bit different than what they would have been, 6 years ago or so, starting after the draft and, with extremely young players only going there and all of that. There are still some under the radar guys who are at the complexes in Arizona and Florida to start their seasons or their careers. But who are the names that stand out to you for the ACL and the FCL?
Yeah, so this is the second year in which complex leagues have started earlier. Traditionally, they've started in June. And a reason for that is so that they end later. So when the draft comes around, you have somewhere to play guys.
Right.
They've moved it up in part because there are guys who are just, I don't want to say languishing in extended spring training, but like the ones who didn't make a full season roster don't have anywhere to go for a while. So let's get official games going earlier. That means the season ends earlier as well. So sometimes there's an awkward situation where guys just aren't playing in official games after they get drafted. Sometimes they play in what's called a bridge league, which is just something that happens in the fall. It's not official, but they're still getting in games and all that kind of stuff. So now we get official games early. That's happening on Saturday, is opening day for the Arizona and Florida complex leagues. Just a couple names I want to throw out there in terms of prospects you can follow. Rosters aren't officially out yet, so even if these guys don't open the year with them, we fully expect them to be in the complex leagues at some point. The first one I'll throw out there is Emil Morales of the Los Angeles Dodgers system. One of the best performers in last year's DSL. Batted 342, had a 478 on base percentage, a 691 slugging percentage. He hit 14 homers in 46 games. Now, he did strike out 45 times. He also walked 40 times. So it's like a very fascinating profile for him right now. He's a righty hitter. He's a shortstop, above average arm. We'll see if he sticks there for very long. Signed for close to $2 million in January 2024. So the Dodgers had big plans for him already. It could be plus power, above average hit. What happens when he comes stateside, right? Because the DSL is filled with guys who they don't always know where it's going. So it's easy to rack up. I don't want to say easy, because Tyler, I'm sure you and I would just be hacking at everything in the DSL. But
Yes.
Yeah,
I was gonna make like some smart comment about like, well, maybe you, Sam. No, we'd just be waving and missing, flailing horribly. I don't even know. Like, if you gave me 100 swings against like an average DSL arm, I don't know how many I'd even like foul back. You know what I mean? Like, how many would I even get the bat to? Not many.
That is a good question.
Probably not many.
I almost want to do that. Like that's something that other places have done a lot, is that they send an average Joe into a sporting arena and just be like, you can't kick a field goal.
No.
You think you can, you cannot kick a field goal.
No, you can't.
You can't hit an 85-mile-an-hour fastball, never mind a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Like the level of idiots who are like, when it's like, 10% of men think they could beat Serena Williams in tennis, or whatever morons exist out there. Like, no, like the lowest level professional arm would just 3 pitches and I would be gone. Or they would just like, they'd brush me back on pitch number 1, and then I'd just be terrified and I would watch the next 3 go by straight over the plate. Like, I'm not doing anything. And I got news for you. Neither are you. Anyone tuned in.
Well, anyways, I only say that to be a reminder to us and to humble us, but also like if somebody runs a high OBP, I still want to see them carry that over stateside before I say like, oh, they have a great approach. It's like they may not have been swinging at the pitches that are 2 feet outside the zone, because there's so many basically kids in the DSL trying to find command and trying to find control and throw in the zone. So we'll see how it looks for Emil Morales, but he could be that next big Dodgers name. He's our first ranked prospect in the Dodger system who's not in the top 100. They have 6 top 100 guys. Morales is number 7. So keep an eye out for him. two guys from the Cardinals system that I'm fascinated by, and that's in part because I do the Cardinals top 30. It's number 7 and number 8 in that system. It's Raniel Rodriguez and Yairo Padilla. Uh, Rodriguez was one of the best performers in the DSL last year too, while playing catcher. He slugged 683. He hit 10 homers in 41 games, had more walks than strikeouts, 30 walks against 25 Ks, so had a 462 on base percentage. And what I was hearing this spring is he was hitting rockets. They brought him over a little early for Dominican guys, got him on the Florida side, and he was hitting balls at 110 plus miles per hour already. He only turned 18 in January. So if he's doing that, it's much easier to dream on his power potential. There's some questions defensively there. Can he throw enough to be catcher? Can he frame well enough? He's 5'10", so he's not a massive guy, but there's a lot of pop in that bat, and it's pretty easy to dream on him. Padilla is kind of the opposite. He's a plus runner, has a really strong arm, can really play a good shortstop right now. Had a 795 OPS in 35 games in the DSL last year, 391 OBP, but stole 22 bags in those 35 games and had 4 triples. So the speed is certainly going to play already for Padilla, and like we were mentioning before with DeVries, plays a premium position, plays it well. So another guy that I know really impressed Cardinals officials as they got to know him more stateside this spring. Those two guys, I think, have top 100 potential. We just have to see it over longer stretches. You know, they haven't played 50 plus games in a season yet. That might be coming this summer. It still might not be because they're still so young. Padilla is still only 17. He's turning 18 on June 28th. So there's a lot of growth still to come from Yairo Padilla, but a lot of excitement around him as well. And then one more in the Boston Red Sox system, another guy who I heard some good things about this spring. They were really excited for. And what do we know about the Red Sox system? They've done a really good job of developing bats the last few years. If you got the right traits, if you're swinging hard, if you're making good swing decisions, if you're lifting the ball on contact, they can take you to a new level like they did with Christian Campbell last year, like they're doing a little bit with Mikey Romero this spring and some other types. So Justin Gonzalez could be the next guy in that. He turned 18 in December. It's above average hit, above average power. It's a plus arm. I know there are some guys in the Red Sox system with him like, can we just see him on the mound, just see what that looks like? Because he's 6'4" as a righty. But he's probably going to be at first base. He's pretty athletic for that position. He's already got the exit velocities. Now let's see what happens when he goes up against stateside arms. Another guy, you know, we're talking about DSL performers so far, but a 908 OPS last season between a pair of DSL clubs, batted 320, basically equal walks to strikeouts, 19 walks, 20 strikeouts, 5 homers, 8 steals. So a lot to like there for Justin Gonzalez. And the more he plugs himself into the Red Sox hitting apparatus, I think we could see a big arrow up next to his name. But one thing I want to point out is one thing I've heard about Boston is everything that they have in Fort Myers, they also have in the Dominican Republic. This is not like, oh, he's coming to the FCL, he'll have better access to equipment and data. And all. It's like, no. They try to make that transition as seamless as possible. So these guys understand all this stuff well before they come stateside. So I think this is going to be more of a continuance than a breakout. But all the ingredients are there for Justin Gonzalez as well. He's the number 16 prospect in the Red Sox system, by the way.
All right, Sam. Well, as we noted earlier, you got a chance to have a conversation yesterday when you were in Aberdeen. Our interview segment coming up. Tee it up for us.
Yeah, this was a fun one because it was one that I had some questions down and we got to pretty much all of them, and then I finished it and then realized 20 minutes had gone by. It was just a very easy conversation with Vance Honeycutt, who I said earlier was the first round pick of the Baltimore Orioles last year, taken 22nd overall out of the University of North Carolina. We talk
Great
about
sports name, by the way. Can I just interject? Vance Honeycutt, great sports name. Like good elements of a whole bunch of different names. You know, you got like Brent Honeywell. One of my favorite football players when I was a kid was Vance Johnson. Dennis Northcutt. Anybody remember Dennis Northcutt? There's like a lot of there's very good elements in Vance Honeycutt's name as a sports name.
I also believe he's the fourth. His
Vance
full
Honeycutt
name
the fourth.
No, his full name is Robert Vance Honeycutt.
Oh, okay.
The fourth.
Okay.
So there you go. That's
Robert Vance Honeycutt the fourth from Salisbury, North Carolina. He also was born after I graduated high school. I saw his birthday when I looked him up earlier today, and I was like, oh, God, I'm really old. Anyway,
he has an interesting backstory too because his dad actually played at UNC. His mom ran track at UNC. So we talk about it. I don't want to spoil the conversation, but you would think like if anybody could be born and bred to go to Chapel Hill, it was going to be Vance Honeycutt. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked about the transition to pro ball, just what it's like to make this your job every day. You go from having to go to class and playing ball on the weekends to doing this every day, what that's like. And the big question mark on his scouting profile is, he can hit for power, he can run, he can throw, like we talked about before, he can really defend, but can he hit enough? Can he make enough contact? What adjustments has he made early on? So we get into that plenty as well. So this is me chatting with Vance Honeycutt.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Just wanted to start asking, obviously this is your first full season. How have these first couple weeks gone in terms of the experience and compared to what you were expecting?
Yeah, I think it's been really good getting out here and just starting the year. The short season last year kind of allowed me to get a taste of it, what it would be like, what I needed to do, day in, day out, like how to build my routine, things like that. I think that gave me a pretty good gauge of what to expect for this year and how to approach it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is that routine that seems to have locked in for you?
Yeah, I mean, getting good sleep. It starts with, for me, like getting good sleep, and then like just recovery in terms of get up and don't just lay in bed until we got to be at the field. Kind of get up, get a good breakfast, move around a little bit. And every day is different in terms of like what I actually do, but definitely just get up at a good time and get some food in me and start the day on that note.
Yeah, and you talk about recovery. I mean, going from a college schedule where you're playing a couple days a week to here 6 days a week,
mm-hmm.
How much was that kind of emphasized as you got that experience last year?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more just like because you play more games, but you're also like you're here every single day, and like you're here from like 1 until 10, 11 o'clock at night. Instead of class going to the field, it's just like you're constantly doing baseball stuff. So I think being able to kind of like recover in that sense, whenever you are just going at it, every day of the week, I think that becomes more important just because you have more on your body and you're doing more things. So just like making a conscious effort to try and utilize the off days, utilize time to recover, and those things just help you out, like in terms of day to day and like in the game, making sure you're feeling good.
Yeah, beyond recovery, what's been the most eye-opening part of this experience, making this your job now?
Yeah, I think just understanding that like it is your job, but like it's also supposed to be fun. It's still a game. You still have to treat it like that. It's not like a have to, it's a get to. And using that as like perspective of, if you don't have a good day, well, there's a lot of other things that could be going on in someone else's life or even in your life that are just like worse, right? It's not as bad as you think it is, and it's never as good as you think it is. So just taking every day like that, having fun with it, and just playing the game I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're coming off a 3-hit day yesterday. We're at this point now where it's not just small sample size anymore, right? Like you're adjusting to the pitchers are adjusting to you. What adjustments have you made the first couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think just from the start until about last week, I was just with overtime. My setup has just kind of gotten a little bit. It's just kind of gone away from what I was doing in spring training. So just dialing that back in with the coaching staff, talking to our coordinators and our staff to try to. Just like what are those cues to get me back on track, and just working on those things. Obviously, it's a game of adjustments, so it's been a lot of fun.
When you talk about those cues, what are they for you to find where you were in spring?
Yeah, I mean, it's the simple things that kind of got you here. It's also, things that make you good, right? You've been playing this game for a long time, so it's for me, simplify it a little bit. Try to just observe the field and really just try to utilize every part of my game and use a big part of the field.
Yeah, and I was talking to some Orioles folks in the spring, and they were saying about your swing, trying to get the bat through the zone longer. Mm-hmm. What have you done to allow that to happen?
Yeah, just kind of going back to being an athlete. It's really easy to be an athlete whenever you're on defense, on the base pass, and a lot of things. But whenever you're in the box, sometimes we get stagnant. Sometimes you kind of become, robotic movement. Just have those robotic movements instead of just completely being fluid, being athletic. So that was a thing for me. Just like remembering who I am at the end of the day. Trying to utilize those athletic positions and those movements day in, day out.
So what is different then? How are you less robotic? Is it the way you're swinging at pitches up and down? How does that look exactly?
A little bit in my setup, being a little bit taller, trying to move like an athlete, and just not like forcing myself in any spot. More of just letting my body do what it does, but starting out in a spot where I allow those habits and not kind of handicapping them.
Mm-hmm. Is that something they brought to you in terms of being more athletic, and when did that work kind of start?
Yeah, that was probably early spring training-ish, whenever we started talking about it, maybe a little bit in instructs last year after the short season. And just, the type of player that I am, we just want to kind of utilize the athleticism, and we don't want to handicap you, right? So I think it's just been a process of like, hey, look, like you can do these things, but we have to get you in a good spot. And so now it's working on those things and just getting live reps and seeing how they pay off.
Yeah, and how was it being at your first off season, like actually professional off season, instead of like you were saying going to class, going through fall ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that change your approach this winter?
Yeah, the off season was good. Spent a lot of time with family, friends at home. Worked out, took a little bit of time off from baseball, and did some fun things, and then I got to work with one of our coordinators with the Orioles a good bit this offseason. He was just a local to where I live, so that was a lot of fun. I felt like I got a lot better, and I felt like I put myself in a good position for spring training.
Who was the coordinator?
Sherman Johnson.
Okay. Nice. And just take me through the draft process for you. Going through that, 3 good years at UNC, you could be a first-round guy. You hear your name called. What was that day like?
Yeah, it was really special. It was the draft process is something like you obviously dream about. Like this is every kid's dream to, get drafted, play in the big leagues. So obviously there's some things that go into it that like sometimes you just don't expect. But for me it was good. It was a long day.
Yeah.
Sure. But it was a special moment whenever my name was called. Yeah, for sure.
How'd you spend it? Where were you at?
I was at home with family, and then my buddies had like a lot of my friends over. So after that, I got to see all my close friends and family friends.
Mm-hmm. At what point did you feel like the Orioles were a possibility?
Oh man, I don't even know. I really didn't, honestly.
Okay.
We're just kind of sitting there, and I knew wherever I was supposed to go, I was going to go.
Right.
Just kind of left it in God's hands, and just tried to be patient with it, and understand that He has a plan for me, and whatever that was going to be, it was going to be.
What did you know about the organization before that day, and what have you learned since?
Yeah, I think at the time, and there was I feel like with the Orioles, the development side was really apparent to me. They've had a lot of really talented players in the organization, and they still do, obviously. But I think one of the biggest things that I learned was they do care about you. There's a lot of good people in the organization, and they want just like your best interest, and they have it at heart, which has been really cool. I think so. I think just learning how the Orioles operate with some time under my belt in the organization has been big. Continuing to try to improve and develop my
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what were those first conversations like where they were saying, this is how we envision your career from here?
Yeah, you can tell that they did a lot of things prior to it. I sat down like pretty early in draft camp down in Sarasota, and they had a lot of information on me already. They had a lot of video of me already. They had comparisons. They had things like that. Different ways that they could kind of see me improving to or progressing to. So I thought it was really cool. Just to they obviously did a lot of research and they did their homework, and it wasn't like, oh well, here you are and let's kind of learn you for the first time. It was like, it was really cool that they kind of had all those plans already in place.
What was the most surprising thing they revealed about you or found in that research that even took you aback?
Yeah, I think, that's a good question. I guess it wouldn't be like the most surprising, but it was cool that, they were definitely, they had these plans, but they also wanted to keep me, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't want to change who I was as a player. They just wanted to kind of improve on certain things and continue to work on other things, right? So it wasn't like it was super surprising to me. It was just it was definitely a relief that like they were like, hey, look, like we love who you are as a player, so now we just want to kind of hone in these skills and just let you go and play.
Yeah, and you were talking before about being an athlete, and that's one of your biggest strengths. They drafted Enrique Bradfield Jr. before you, and you guys got to play together a little bit. What is it like to watch that guy play in center field and take away something from him just being a year removed?
Yeah, for sure. I watched him a lot in college too, and then he lived with Matt Horvath, who I went to college with. Right. So we had gotten like just on first name basis and things like that over the last year, and then playing with him was really cool in this spring training. Definitely just kind of picking his brain. He's a year older, obviously, been in the organization, has some experience. So I think just kind of learning his day in day out process, his routine, things he does, things he likes. On the defensive side of the ball is definitely things that I can take and learn from and get better at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was that spring breakout game. You guys were in the same outfield.
Yeah.
I imagine with the two of you, like the ball's never touching the grass.
Yeah, we had Judd out there too.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it was a good outfield, yeah.
How did you guys balance that, just playing off? Because that's essentially three center fielders across the diamond. We
didn't really talk too much about it. We just wanted to obviously cover a lot of ground out there. I think we had one little talk, and it was just communicate early. We're all pretty fast out there. We can cover ground, so the earlier we can talk to each other, the better. Mm-hmm. And I think at that point it was just go out and just have fun and play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that seems to be kind of like where the Orioles are going now, between you guys, Austin Overn, tons of speed guys. Just what was it like being in camp with that many fast guys, and did you ever race, or were you ever thinking about racing?
Yeah, I definitely thought about it. I definitely wanted to. I'm not sure they would have let us. No, but there's definitely just a lot of really talented players, like I was talking about earlier. A lot of athletes, so it's cool to be alongside those guys, learn from them, and just play with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and going back to your time at UNC, I know your dad went there. How much was it always going to be a Tar Heel for you?
If I got the opportunity, it was happening. Yeah.
Right. So is that something, like, were they reaching out to you early on, just son of an alumni, like, hey, we're keeping tabs, or?
Not really. It was probably early, after my sophomore year of high school, early on in the summer. They were recruiting some guys on my team. Really, I hadn't talked to them at all. And then the pitching coach at the time left to take the head coaching job at UNC Charlotte, and then I didn't really hear anything. So I went to a prospect camp there, or one of those things, and ended up playing pretty well for a few days, and then so I kind of piqued some interest there, which I feel like helped a lot. They came down for one of the last couple tournaments of that summer, and then it was just kind of the cards fell in the right spots.
How much were you thinking, like, this is essentially a tryout, that, or like?
Obviously it wasn't like that. It was more of just like, man, what can I do to just interest them, right? Just what can I do to kind of make myself stand out? Because obviously, like, everyone in my family had gone there. It had been a dream of mine for, since I can remember. So it was just trying to impress them as much as I could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because your mom was a track athlete too, right?
Yeah.
Like, how much did they tell you about what life is like on campus as an athlete?
I mean, it was less about them talking about it and more of we were just always there.
Yeah, right.
So it was pretty apparent that they loved it because, I mean, we went back. It's a lot. Growing up, we went to a ton of football games, ton of basketball games, ton of baseball games, and it was like, and my parents always wanted to go back. They always wanted to take us. So like, it was definitely like they loved it, but they weren't going to force it on us if we didn't want to do it, if we didn't want to pursue that avenue. So I think they just kind of put us in environments to where if we liked it, we would want to pursue it. And it turned out that me and my two sisters all loved it, so we all went there.
the quiet approach worked.
Yeah,
there you go.
sure.
There you go. And you were talking about Mac before, just being a UNC teammate of his and being a former Oriole. Now he's on the other side today, obviously. But how much were you in touch with him those first couple of days? With him, like, hey, we're going to be in the same organization.
Yeah.
Even though that only lasted a very short amount of time.
He was. He actually called me a couple of days before the draft, and they had their little week. All-Star break, and he goes, I'm gonna come to Salisbury for your thing, and I was like, oh sweet. So funny enough, our two trainers at the time in Aberdeen, they dropped him off at my house on the day of the draft. I think they were coming back from a trip, maybe in Asheville or Asheboro or somewhere like that. They dropped him off, and so we saw each other that night, talked a good bit, and then it wasn't a week or two later that he had been traded. So obviously we didn't get to play together, but excited for him, and just love watching him and love keeping up with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what tips did he give you about the O system, just in those first couple hours?
I mean, we didn't really talk about that, honestly.
Yeah, sure.
It was more of just catching up. Hadn't seen him in a few months, right? So it wasn't much of pro ball stuff. It was just catching up.
Yeah, no, totally fair.
Yeah.
And going back to what you were talking about in terms of defense, 2-time defensive player of the year, the ACC. What are your cues for being such a good defensive player? Is it like, how do you improve your jumps? Because obviously you have the speed to close down, but it's more than just.
I think the biggest thing is like just preparation. I think pre-pitch setup is probably the biggest thing, being on time in that situation. So like, keeping it simple, out in the outfield, being ready. If you're in a good, if you have a good pre-pitch, your jump's gonna be better, your initial first step's gonna be better, and your read on the ball is gonna be better. So that was a thing that we worked on a good bit in spring training. Was just trying to make that as consistent as possible so I can get the best reads possible.
Mm-hmm. Are there any major league center fielders you like to watch most? Or
I watch Jaron Duran, Julio Rodriguez.
Sure.
Those guys. Growing up, I watched a lot of Trout.
Right.
But yeah.
And what are you looking for when you're looking at other guys?
It's more of early. Whenever I was younger, I was watching the cool plays. I think now I try to see like what they do pre-pitch. Mm-hmm. It's less about how they got to that ball. It's more about not how they did, or like it's more of figuring out like what allowed them to get to it. So like obviously guys with speed, like they can cover more ground, they can make up for a bad read or a false step. Mm-hmm. But watching those guys, like there's just less mistakes. It's just cleaner. And they're really intent. They have really good setups that allow them to make a good first read, get a good first step, and make those catches that some guys can't do.
And just going back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of offense, when you have a good day like yesterday, how do you kind of lock that in and try to keep it forward? Is it just all field? Do you go back to video, identify what worked, and try to replicate that?
I think there's probably some field stuff involved maybe, but I mean it's a long season, right? There's gonna be ebbs and flows, highs and lows. Working on stuff that you think is gonna help you. That's what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. So I think after a night like last night, I mean, every day is different, every day is independent, but just try to build on it is the biggest thing, and obviously those days give you confidence. So it's like today, I won't even really think about that. It's like every day's independent. You're just trying to have a good day every day, have a good one at bat after another. Be present for that next pitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so much of the Orioles system is focused around Baltimore, right? Aberdeen, Bowie, now Chesapeake, Norfolk. How much have you gotten to learn about this region, just playing here?
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely more than I knew before. I'm not sure I've ever been to Maryland before this. We haven't made any road trips anywhere, but definitely learned a little bit about the state, I guess. Just being here.
Have to develop a taste in crab cakes yet, or?
A little bit. I've been to Jimmy's a couple of times in Baltimore. They have some good ones.
There you go. All right, great. That's all I have for you. Thanks
you
so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Best of luck.
Final segment of this week's episode of the show before the show. Huge thanks to Vance Honeycutt for joining us, joining Sam yesterday in Aberdeen. And before we get out of here, Sam, I want to give you the opportunity. So often on this show, it's me and Ben, and there's just this unfiltered conversation about the personal travails of the Sam Dykstra life, of your time working in Times Square as a Mickey Mouse, and the restaurants back home in Palmer, Mass that you've frequented and have left your legacy at. Is there anything about Ben Hill that you need to share? Just want to give you the opportunity, if there is. And since I have no life and I am always on this show, you're never going to get to talk about me this way.
I know, yeah. Ben and I are going to have to conspire. As the one who actually posts the show, we could sneak something in about you someday. And now the wheels are turning more on that than my big book of Ben facts.
Big book of British smiles.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I want to leak this, but I'll do it anyways.
Oh,
Ben's not gluten free.
Oh,
Ben just doesn't want to eat all the food. He wants to share the love of the food with everybody else.
That's so sweet. It's a big-hearted thing, is what you're
saying. Yeah,
he
just wants to get other people involved. He's not. Okay. So if you see him, just offer him bread. See how that goes.
Yeah,
just
please enjoy this bread.
He might slip, and then you'll be like, what happened, Ben? I don't even know if that's nice to make fun of him for. That is a real thing that he has to deal with. I can't even get that far. I can't even
you immediately had to backtrack on it. You're too pure-hearted. You're too good for this world, Sam Dykstra, as we have long known. All right, well, before we get out of here, we can't do Name That Dude because it's only two of us. So instead, we do Name a Dude, where we just throw out a random dude. Who's your dude?
Yeah, my dude, I'll go back to him just because yesterday was one of the guys I got to see was Emilian Pitre of the Tampa Bay Rays, one of their draft picks from last year. Has kind of an interesting backstory in that he's from the Montreal area, but just did not play hockey, has no interest in hockey, and now plays baseball. Went to the University of Kentucky and all that kind of stuff. So it started getting me thinking about Canadians with French sounding names. And for, it's no secret, I grew up a Red Sox fan, so the name that came up was Real Cormier in my mind, who was born in New Brunswick, Canada, and unfortunately passed away in 2021 after a battle with pancreatic cancer. But he played for the Canadian team, the WBC, in 2006, Tyler.
Yeah.
That team did not advance out of the first round. They won 2 of 3 games, but did not get to advance because they lost in the tiebreaker. He also got to play in the Olympics in Seoul, South Korea, in 1988. They didn't medal then. They went 1 and 2. But this guy had international experience. He pitched for the Cardinals, the Red Sox, the Expos, the Red Sox again, the Phillies, and the Reds. So pretty well spread across there. I wonder how much Ben would actually remember of him because he'd spent most of his career with the Phillies. He was there from 2001 to 2006, a Canadian Baseball Hall of Famer. You might remember him most, as I do, as a lefty reliever. But yeah, Real Cormier just came to mind as francophone sounding name.
Yeah.
From baseball history. He started out his career as a starter, I guess, but after 1999 became a full-time reliever, which makes sense for my memory of him. But yeah, Real Cormier. There's a name that everybody can remember.
Did you see the video that went around Instagram recently? I don't know. It was probably from TikTok, but we're both millennials, so we don't get to eat the fruits of that particular genre. But did you see the thing that was like, men will literally hang out and it's just this, and it was just a guy going back and forth saying random baseball players?
Yeah.
So I feel as though this guy, if he was not in that video, very well could have been in that video, and that is Josh Willingham. Remember Josh Willingham? Former Marlin, National, A, Twin, and Royal. Josh Willingham is one of those guys who, like, I don't know, he might not end up in like the Hall of Very Good, but he should certainly be in like the Hall of Good. Like, you look back at Josh Willingham's career, it's like, oh, this guy could hit. He was like pretty deep. He had a top 10 finish in Rookie of the Year voting in 2006. Did not realize. He won a Silver Slugger in 2012 with the Twins. That year slashed 260, 366, 524 with a career best 35 home runs. He came up 5 home runs shy of 200 in his career. He drove in 110 runs that year and was just like a very decent, solid player. Always had like a slightly, above average 2.5, 3.5 WAR. Played primarily I think of him as a Marlin, but I guess, spent a decent amount of his career in other stops as well, the Nationals too. But he really could move around, played in the outfield. He caught when he first came up, played some first base. But he was just he was a good player, Josh Willingham. He was like I don't know. He was a fun guy. 5 years with the Marlins. I guess only 2 with the Nationals and 3 with the Twins. And then 1 season with the A's, part of a season with the Royals. But, career almost 19 WAR in 11 years. Josh Willingham. Josh Willingham.
Two things on Josh Willingham. I think of him most as a Twin.
Okay.
Probably because of that Silver Slugger year.
Yeah, probably.
Honestly. That was when he was at his most productive. I guess 3 things. First, that. Second, if I won a Silver Slugger, I would just never stop talking about it.
I would carry that.
I know they give those
around
out every year, but you would never stop hearing me talk about that.
No. And that's a thing, you get to hang on to that forever. You know what I mean? You, for the rest of your life, you're a Silver Slugger Award winner, Josh Willingham. It's not just this guy played 11 years in the big leagues. That's your name is in the register of Major League Award winners for the rest of time, or for the next 5 years, however long society lasts. But that's a very cool thing for somebody whose career was really steady, really solid. But otherwise, Josh Willingham might not be a name that people remember quite as much as oh yeah, remember that season he had with the Twins? Remember those years that he had with the Marlins? He's really good. Fun fact about Josh Willingham, by the way, in the 2014 American League wildcard game, he hit the bloop single that turned into pinch runner Gerard Dyson, who ended up scoring the game-tying run that sent the game to extra innings. Remember Gerard Dyson, when Gerard Dyson was just oh, God, they're going to put him in. He's going to steal every base possible. But the Royals walked that game off in 12 innings in 2014. And Josh Willingham, he factored into that in his lone season with the Royals, not even full season with the Royals. He played 24 games with the Royals that year. Pretty cool stuff.
And that was his lone postseason hit.
Amazing.
He got 4 postseason plate appearances that year. Never played in the postseason before then.
Man.
And got a hit.
His age 35 season. Good for him. Good for you, Josh Willingham. Hope life is good wherever you are. Presumably Florence, Alabama. It's where he's from. It's where he went to high school and college. But anyway, those are our dudes for the day today. And that'll do it for this week's episode of the show before the show. You can get in touch with us as always, podcast at milb.com. And of course, as we noted, go to milb.com/Somerset and you can get your tickets for June 11th, the show before the show night at the home of the Somerset Patriots. And we're excited. Getting closer with every day. For Benjamin Hill, for Sam Dystra, for all the rest, my name is Tyler Mon. We'll catch you next week.